The Vanishing Girl. Lily had been missing for almost a week when they found her. She was a quiet girl, just turned 17. And the kind of kid who always followed the rules. Her parents couldn't understand how she had simply disappeared. She'd gone to a friend's house after school, texted her mom around 8 p.m. that she was heading home, and then nothing. No calls, no signs of a struggle. She was just gone. The small town of Ridgeway was shaken. People talked, speculating about accidents or kidnappings, and search parties combed the nearby woods. But it was as if Lily had been swallowed by the earth. Then, on the 7th day, her body was discovered. She was found on the outskirts of town, by a bridge that led into a forest no one really went into anymore. Her clothes were torn, and her face was pale, lips slightly parted as if she had been trying to say something. But what was most disturbing, what no one could explain, was how clean she looked. No dirt under her nails, no bruises, no signs that she'd been in the elements for a week. It was like she had just died. Detective Sarah Blake had been assigned to the case. She was a veteran of missing persons investigations. But something about Lily's disappearance unsettled her. There was no clear cause of death. No blood. No wounds. Nothing. The coroner's report was inconclusive, as though Lily's body had simply given up. But then there was her face. In the morgue, Sarah had examined the body and noticed something odd. Lily's expression. There was a faint trace of fear frozen into her features, as if she had seen something just before her death, something too terrible to comprehend. The investigation stalled. With no leads and no witnesses, the town tried to move on, but it wasn't that easy. People whispered about what had happened. Some claimed they'd seen strange figures near the woods late at night. Others mentioned hearing sounds, low, guttural noises like animals, though no one could say what kind. Sarah stayed up late every night, poring over the case files, reviewing every piece of evidence. Something felt wrong, something she couldn't shake. It wasn't until she found Lily's phone that things got worse. The phone had been found in her backpack, neatly tucked away in the bushes near where her body was discovered. It hadn't turned up before, but now the police techs were able to recover the data. Most of it was mundane, texts, photos with friends, until the last video. It was shaky, shot in the dark, and at first there wasn't much to see. But then the camera flipped to show Lily's face. Her eyes were wide, panicked, and she was running. In the background, something rustled in the woods, but it was too dark to make out. Lily whispered frantically into the camera. "I'm being followed," she said, her voice trembling. "I don't know who or what, but it's coming. I tried to get away, but it won't stop. Please, if someone finds this..." She stopped abruptly, looking behind her. There was a sound, something low and almost human, like a person choking. The screen went black. Sarah rewound the video over and over, listening carefully. It wasn't until she used enhanced audio that she caught it. Just before the video cut out, Lily whispered 2 words that made Sarah's blood run cold. "Help me." For days, Sarah couldn't stop thinking about that video. The sound in the background, the fear in Lily's voice. It wasn't natural. It wasn't something any regular person could have caused. But Sarah didn't believe in ghosts or monsters. There had to be an explanation. Someone had to be responsible. Driven by a nagging suspicion, she decided to return to the spot where Lily's body was found. It was late afternoon when she reached the bridge, the sun sinking low in the sky. The woods were quiet, almost too quiet. and a cold breeze rustled through the trees. Sarah stepped carefully, her eyes scanning the underbrush, and then she saw it. A figure, standing just at the edge of the tree line watching her. It was Lily. Sarah's heart leapt into her throat. It wasn't possible. Lily was dead. She had seen the body herself. But there the girl stood, motionless, her face blank and eyes glassy. She wasn't right. Something was wrong with her, as though she were just a shell, drained of life. "Lily!" Sarah called out, her voice shaky. The girl didn't respond. She just stared. Suddenly, there was a crack of movement behind her, deep in the woods. Sarah's pulse quickened as she looked past Lily into the shadows. Something large shifted between the trees, barely visible, but its presence was unmistakable. A low, guttural growl echoed from the darkness. Lily's lips twitched, and in a hollow voice that wasn't hers, she whispered, "It's coming." Sarah backed away, her instincts screaming at her to run, but her feet felt heavy, her body frozen in place. The air grew thick, the shadows deeper. The thing in the woods was closer now, and though she couldn't see it, Sarah could feel it, watching, waiting. Without thinking, she turned and ran, her breath ragged as she fled down the path. Behind her, the growling grew louder, more distorted. But she didn't look back. When she reached her car, she jumped in and sped away, her heart pounding in her ears. She didn't stop driving until she was miles away from the woods. The next morning, the police found her at her desk, shaking and pale. She resigned from the force that same day. No one ever found out what really happened to Lily, or what Sarah saw in the woods. But she knew one thing for certain. Whatever it was that took Lily wasn't finished, and it would come again.